was young and single, going to gay bars alone felt like a necessary duty, something to be endured for the betterment of the self. Go now, I would coach myself late on Saturday nights in my 11th Street tenement, knowing even then, as a 20-something-year-old, that youth was a temporary state. Stay here, watch another rerun of The Honeymooners, and you're guaranteed to remain single. And so, despite the allure of the bed, the mewing of cats in the courtyard below, and the comfort that came with reciting the banter between Ralph and Alice Cramden, I would dress the role and make my way to the bar of the moment. I might walk east a half hour to Boy Bar on St. Mark's, where, ominously one night, seemingly overnight, the bartenders had donned elbow-length rubber gloves in response to an epidemic that seemed unstoppable, afraid even to put their bare fingers into the used glasses. I might go to Wildwood with its flannel-clad clones, not my aesthetic, but at least I stood out. Uncle Charlie's and unsexy Murray Hill, the Web with its colonial-era dynamic of younger Asians seeking older Caucasians, or the Ninth Circle in the Village, where its Dante-esque basement was populated by rent boys, while upstairs the hoi polloi and haughty alike gathered in a state of hellish limbo. It was there, apocryphally, where Edward Albee found his title, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, scrawled on a restroom wall. Wherever I wound up, I would leave by 1 or 2 a.m., often haunted by the visage of a certain stranger in the crowd I hadn't the courage to approach. I would ponder on my train ride or walk back home the idea of placing one of those "I saw you, you looked at me" ads on the back page of the Village Voice, though the urge would usually, thankfully, abate by morning. But I was grateful, too, to be heading home alone on the subway with the Sunday Times in my lap, its weight and just off the press warmth sufficient to evoke the presence of another person. I no longer go to gay bars. I am in my 50s, hardly an asset in such places. And I don't expect to be any more adept at negotiating bar protocol than I was in my 20s. When I look into the few bars that exist along 8th Avenue or Christopher Street, as I pass them, I see many faces in the crowd lit by the screens of their phones, an easy method for pretending to be occupied by contact with others elsewhere, and thus avoid the live bluntness of rejection now. We had no such props, apart from the lighting of a cigarette or fishing in a cocktail glass between ice cubes for the maraschino cherry. Yet, I feel a certain nostalgia for the bars I used to visit because they were places where a young gay man could be surrounded by his peers, be actually shoulder to shoulder with them. One of the things you realize when you're older is that you were attractive as a young man, though you didn't know so at the time. Although the house odds of meeting someone never improved for me, there was always the lure of the jackpot, that potential for sex, a real boyfriend, a new friend. There was also the guarantee of disappointment and hurt, boredom, ego-deflating rejection, smoke-cured hair, the igniting of a randiness that felt lit by an eternal flame. Whether I felt welcomed in the places or shunned, flirted with or passed by, I had the privilege of age there then. Membership was a given. I learned early on, and it is a lesson that has endured, that the secret strategy for going to gay bars is to know their limitations, when it's all right to go inside and socialize, and when it's time to leave and go home.